So last night, Politico reporting that we have yet another cave-in by the Senate Democrats. So you remember, of course, the budget showdown, and there was a quote-unquote deal made, and in that deal, the Democrats appeared to have gotten very little. Now, at the time, though, I said, look, let's be fair. It's only a 3-week extension. It's not like they made the actual deal itself. They're still gonna have to deal with this on February 8th. And they got CHIP in there, children's health insurance, which was bipartisan to begin with. Anyway, the Republicans had recently taken it hostage, taken out the funding. So they played that game, and so they got that. But if it turns out that when the actual budget happens 3 weeks from now, they then get the DREAM Act in there and deliver as they have been promising all along for the Dreamers, and make sure that those 800,000 folks can stay in the country who are in good standing, well, then that would be a different story. Well, it looks like the jury's beginning to come in on that. So here's Politico. Senate Democrats are willing to drop their demand that relief for Dreamers be tied to any long-term budget agreement, a potential boost for spending talks, but one that could face opposition from their House counterparts. These Senate Democrats are amazing. I don't think they have any sense of what's going on in the outside world. They live in their own bubble, and they talk to one another like, hey, do you want to cave in? Oh yeah, of course, yeah, me too. Yeah, you want to cave in too? Oh, we've got elections coming up. So what? So do the Republicans. And if you hold strong, you might actually defeat them. Oh, we have elections coming up. Look, you should be looking forward to elections. You should be looking forward to making your case. But they're so scared constantly. The other bubble they live in is for 4 to 5 hours a day, all they do is talk to donors. They're almost all millionaires. What do you think we should do? Oh, we should cave in because you don't want the stock market affected. No problem, can do. All right, so let me give you more here. Dick Durbin, number 2 Democrat in the Senate, which is already, that's your number 2 Democrat, and Schumer's your number 1. Well, pillars of strength they are. Okay, he says, we're viewing immigration and spending on separate terms because they are on separate paths. So I need to explain what that means to you guys. That means we're gonna do the budget first, and later Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump have promised to us that we will handle the Dreamer issue. Later, after we have lost all of our leverage. The leverage is that Republicans need Democratic votes in order to pass the budget. So they're gonna give away that leverage and then rely on the goodwill of Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump. They say this with a straight face. And that's after Trump already bragged and the Republicans already bragged after the 3-week deal and spiked the ball in their face and said, ha, you losers, you caved in, we won, you lost. And they go, okay, you're right, we're gonna cave in again. By God, have at least some self-respect, even if you don't care about any of your constituents, even if you don't believe in any progressive priorities, and by the way, they definitely do not. I told you in an earlier story earlier in the week, turns out that all this time, the Dreamers were nowhere near their top priorities. They said it was a minor issue. What they were actually concerned about and why they shut the government down, or along with the Republicans for 3 days, was because they wanted to show the Republicans that they felt personally insulted because they were not consulted. Oh, so it was about your power and privilege. And now we know for sure, because when it comes to the Dreamers, right onto the bus. So a senior House Democratic aide says, on the other hand, we are insisting that these things be in the same negotiation. To us, what's important is, are these talks linked or not linked? To us, they are linked. So that is good news from the House Democrats saying we do not agree with the Senate Democrats. When the House Democrats think you're too weak, oh boy, you really ought to check yourself in the mirror. Okay, more from Politico. Negotiators have already agreed to a massive boost to the Pentagon's budget. This is the sprinkle on top. While the figures are still in flux, multiple sources say Congress would raise military spending by at least $70 billion above the caps for fiscal 2018 and $80 billion in fiscal 2019. As Politico explains, that is much higher than what Donald Trump requested. Donald Trump requested a massive increase in defense spending, and the Democrats are now working with the Republicans to say, not enough. Let us give you more. Not only are we not gonna get anything in return, we're not gonna get the Dreamers. We didn't get that. But there's the issue of the domestic spending and the defense spending, and if you give us normal defense discretionary spending, we're not going to ask for the things you took hostage earlier. We're just going to give you more and more defense spending. You know why? Because we think, what a bunch of losers, right? They get nothing in the deal. But you have to understand something. They're also corrupt. They also want the extra money to go to defense contractors. Why? Because the defense contractors are also their donors. That's why they're giving, that's not something that they have gotten in return. They're happy to do more wasteful spending in defense because they're the same, they have, in that case, the same exact donors. Dreamers, are you guys donors? Do you give millions of dollars? Oh, you don't. Well, golly gee, the Senate Democrats happen to find you underneath a bus. The guys who do give them millions of dollars, well, they're gonna get billions, tens of extra billions in return, on top of what Trump asked for. Funny how that works. But yet, television, money in politics, is it an influence? Still the sound of silence. Oh, did they do a good job of negotiating? What are their priorities? What do they care about policy? They don't give a goddamn thing about policy. Aren't you sick and tired of Democrats that you have to push and push and beg and plead to be progressive? To for once take a progressive position. Nope, they're not gonna do it. And even after all that pushing and begging and pleading, they still don't do it. Oh, it's easy to do Mick resistance. Oh, Russia. Now, whether you think Russia had to deal with Trump, and I do, but that's easy to say, man. So I care about it in terms of substance. But for the Democrats, it's a punchline. It's a distraction to make sure that you don't talk about policy. I have a revolutionary idea that apparently no one agrees with. I think you can talk about Trump's deal with Russia and policy. Because the point of that is not like, ha ha, we got you. The point of it is Trump is a dangerous guy. And if he actually did a deal, we should get rid of him. But so that the eventual goal is policy. I don't give a damn if Dick Durbin wins in another election. What has he done for us? Nothing. What do I care about Chuck Schumer's power? Why would I give a damn? He doesn't give a damn about you. Why should we give a damn about him? But they assure us, no, we got elections coming up. So you better make sure you vote for us, because if we win in 2018, then we'll fight for the Dreamers. Oh, come on, piss off already. How many times have we heard this for 40 years? Oh, give us more, give me more power, give me more privilege, and then maybe at the end of that I will give you. Look, you had super majorities under Obama. Why didn't you deliver for all these people then? You spent all that time working on a Heritage Foundation, Mitt Romney plan on healthcare, and then bragged to the ends of the earth, we have fixed healthcare. That was the beginning. All you got in a supermajority was the beginning on one issue. All the rest, nothing. Oh, don't worry, elect us more, and then you'll get it. No, we've seen that movie before. As I told you, Politico explains that defense spending is, quote, a huge increase, and, quote, much more than the White House's most recent budget request. Congratulations, you gave Donald Trump more than he asked for. Guys, you must be so proud. What a great bunch of negotiators. To make Donald Trump an incompetent businessman who went bankrupt 6 times, a man clearly lacking any intelligence at all, to make him look like a good negotiator. How pathetic, stupid do you have to be? And most importantly, craven. Senator Patty Murray, another member of the Democratic leadership, said that although she would prefer a deal to protect young undocumented immigrants be part of the budget negotiations, the agreement reached with McConnell could make that impossible. The Kentucky Republican has said the Senate would turn to an immigration bill only if the government is still funded, and a few Democrats seem to want another shutdown. I can't take these guys, man, I can't. So she says, well, it's impossible because McConnell said that he doesn't agree. Yeah, that's because he's on the other side. You're also supposed to say, I don't agree, I'm gonna fight for my side. Instead they go, oh, McConnell says we can't do it. Well, I guess then we can't do it. It's impossible, it's impossible. Losers, paid to lose. She says she would prefer to help the Dreamers, but she won't. She won't fight for them. Fight? No, I have elections coming up. My precious beloved ass is on the line. Schumer, Durbin, Murray, all of them, okay? February 8th, we're gonna have, Patty Murray says, we're gonna have another stopgap bill, but we have to have that budget agreement in order to move forward. That's the goal. And then the deal is that if DACA is not part of that, then it will be the next thing considered. In other words, we're gonna take Mitch McConnell's word for it. We're gonna give away all of our leverage because we like to lose and our donors are super happy when we give the Republicans everything they want. And then after we lose, and then they rub it in our face a little bit more, Trump is gonna brag and brag. Where the fuck is your resistance? When it comes to policy, never, no resistance. Oh, let's do a rally. Hey, vote for me. No, corporate Democrats, you're all corrupt, no interest. So they say, oh, what were my chances? I got people on Twitter going, but Cenk, be reasonable. How could they have possibly fought? They had to lie down again. They had to lie down and go to sleep. How could they possibly fight for us? Under these circumstances, let's show you the Trump's approval ratings. He's sitting at 36% approval. That's miserable. 58% of the country disapproves of Donald Trump. You can't fight a president that unpopular. Clean up, go home, retire immediately. Retire immediately. If you say, oh, I got elections, there's a guy on the other side with 36%. What do you want, 26%, 16%? Oh, come on, man. Okay, so that's the other side. And they're running like cowards from a guy who has 36% while pretending to do resistance. And how about on DACA? Well, maybe DACA's unpopular. Maybe this DREAM Act is, hey, it's a decent thing to do, it's a moral thing to do, it's the right thing to do, it's the economically correct thing to do, but maybe the American people don't want to do it. Get a load of this. This is a new poll from CBS. 87% of Americans said they believe that the so-called dreamers should be allowed to remain in the US if they meet certain requirements such as working or going to school. And that is the deal, that's DACA. You have 87% of the American people on your side, and you still won't fight. That is a white flag of surrender. That means we will never fight for you under any circumstance. The other side is abhorrent. The guy we're pretending to resist, he is deeply, historically unpopular. Our side is historically popular, and we still won't fight. Primaries. You better get out there and vote in primaries. Don't listen to cable news telling you, oh, general election, when you have two, you got the lesser of two evils, you got two losers, you got two corporate guys who basically agree to the same thing. Primary the living hell out of them. Look, Justice Democrats. So that is one option for you guys. They are uncorrupted. None of them are taking corporate PAC money. You can think whatever you want, look into their policy positions, go to their websites, justicedemocrats.com. But at least you know they're working for you and not for corporate donors, because they don't take corporate donors. You want to go to another group, bless your heart. You want to go to other candidates, bless your heart. Find candidates who do not take corporate PAC money, otherwise they will never, ever work for you. So I have them on all the time. Rebel Headquarters, we do that right after the Young Turks. We do it at 8 o'clock every night right here on tytnetwork.com/live. Go to youtube.com/tytpolitics. Listen to all the interviews. Some of them are Justice Democrats, some of them are not. But they're actual progressives, and you don't have to beg them to be progressive. They're already progressive. I know that it seems like, oh my God, if you're a progressive in America, you have to bow your head and just ask for crumbs off the table. You don't. The way you do hardball politics is you beat them. You crush them in the primaries. None of these guys are ever gonna work for you. And if you don't get out there and you don't register and you don't go to those primaries and you don't defeat these guys, then don't come crying in general elections. And then just stop watching, stop following news. If you're not gonna get up and fight, get up. Take all these corporate Democrats out during the primaries. Go to justicedemocrats.com if you want. Go to wolf-pac.com to get money out of politics. This is grotesque. I'm so tired as a progressive, constantly asking our supposed representatives to represent us. It is exhausting. Why don't we just defeat them and get actual, wouldn't it be amazing to get actual progressives in the Senate and in the House? You have a couple, like we get Bernie, we're like, oh my God, Bernie. They say, why do you love Bernie? Because he's the one guy you don't have to convince to be a progressive. He's been progressive for 40 years. You think Dick Durbin, Patty Murray, Chuck Schumer, Dianne Feinstein, Joe Manchin, you think any of these people are progressive? Mick resistance. Oh yay, let's go to a rally, please vote for me. Meanwhile, I'll give Trump everything he wants and then some. That's how these losers are. Well, great, let them lose in primaries. every one of you better go out there and vote in those primaries. Take them all down. You just watched the video by the Young Turks, home of the revolution. If you'd like to get a lot more than that, get the full show by becoming a member. tytnetwork.com/join.